With the Super Bowl just a little over a week away, the NFL is being hit yet again with allegations of racial discrimination by way of a lawsuit filed by one of its own. Brian Flores, the former head coach of the Miami Dolphins, is suing the team along with the New York Giants, the Denver Broncos, and the NFL, alleging that they have discriminated against him and other black coaches in their hiring practices. The lack of diversity in the top ranks of the NFL has been clear for decades. But this lawsuit may finally shed light on exactly how the alleged discrimination is carried out and how it's swept under the rug. BNC's Dre Clark has the details.
Brian Flores says he had hoped to become the next head coach of the New York Giants. He says he actually interviewed with the team, but as it turns out, the entire process, he says, was a sham. Maintaining the team never had any plans on hiring him, but rather they were using his skin color to satisfy an NFL rule, which says minorities have to be interviewed when it comes to fulfilling head coaching positions. Brian Flores says he's aware he may have reached the point of no return with the NFL after filing a federal lawsuit against the league and 3 of its teams.
This is bigger than me. This is bigger than football.
Flores has been a standout coach in the NFL. After being an assistant coach with the New England Patriots for 11 years, Flores was hired as the Miami Dolphins head coach in 2019. But last month, Flores was fired after 3 seasons with the team despite having a 5-year deal. Flores was looking forward to his next head coaching job, and he was hoping to land with the New York Giants. And for a moment, it looked promising.
I want to coach football. That's what I'm called to do.
But Flores says it was during a text exchange with New England Patriots head coach Bill Belichick that he learned the fix was in. 3 days before his interview with the Giants on January 27th, Belichick congratulated Flores on getting the job with the Giants. But Belichick got his Brians mixed up. He was actually talking about the Giants selecting Brian Daboll, a white man. Yet Flores says the Giants brought him in anyway, knowing the job was never going to be his.
It was humiliating, to be quite honest.
Flores says the Giants and other teams are making a mockery of the NFL's Rooney Rule, which says teams must interview at least 2 minority candidates when trying to fill head coaching and front office positions.
Unfortunately, we're in the situation now where they don't want to hire black people. And it's been like that for a long time when it comes to being head coaches.
Terrence Moore is national sports columnist with Forbes.com.
This is not an NFL thing. This is not a sports thing, because this also goes on in Major League Baseball, as a matter of fact, I think most prominently. This is a societal thing.
So far, out of 9 head coaching vacancies in the NFL, 4 teams have named coaches, all of them white men. Flores is also suing the Denver Broncos for not hiring him in 2019, claiming then team execs, including general manager John Elway, showed up to his interview with the team late and hungover. The Broncos deny that claim. Meanwhile, Flores is also alleging while coaching for the Dolphins, the team's owner offered him $100,000 for every game he intentionally loses. The process is called tanking, when teams intentionally lose games in order to get a better position in the upcoming draft.
I was never going to stand for that. And I would say that strained a lot of the relationships in Miami.
Flores is asking for unspecified damages in his lawsuit, as well as immediate changes in the league to get more black and brown people in coaching and coordinating positions. The NFL is refuting the claims in the lawsuit, saying in part, "We will defend against these claims, which are without merit." In New Jersey, I'm Dre Clark for Making the Case.
Joining me to discuss the viability of this suit and what this could mean for the league moving forward, attorney and immediate past president of the National Bar Association, CK Hoffler. CK, great having you on. Listen, Flores was like one of 3 black head coaches in the league. So he was right in saying that it didn't take a lawsuit for the world to know that there was a very real problem within the NFL. And I'm sure you weren't surprised by the allegations, but were you surprised that Flores spoke out and filed a lawsuit?
I wasn't surprised by the allegations, Yodit. In fact, I knew that it was probably going to come at some point. I just didn't know who was going to bring forward litigation. So I wasn't surprised by the allegations. I was just pleasantly surprised that he would step forward at this time. A lot of times, as you know, to bring about change, it takes litigation. I don't just say that because I'm a lawyer or a trial lawyer, and because I have worked on these types of discrimination cases and class action cases or putative class cases. It's because that's the reality. Unfortunately, it takes brave people, courageous people, stepping out and saying enough is enough. And that's exactly what Brian Flores said. And he said it on behalf of a class of individuals, many people who don't have the ability, even if they wanted to step out and say, we've got to bring about change. Enough is enough, and we're not going to stand for this anymore. So I applaud him for his courage.
Well, let's talk about the actual lawsuit, CK. It alleges discrimination, specifically that race was a factor in Flores being turned down for jobs. Let's listen to his attorneys talking about proving that, specifically when it comes to Flores' most recent interview with the Giants.
We can't get to your point that let's have an analysis and a comparison of who was the more qualified candidate, because we don't get to that step because Brian wasn't given a fair shake. So how can you say someone's more qualified if you give him the job before you even allow him to interview?
Now, Flores has receipts, CK, in the form of text messages from Bill Belichick that they had already made a hiring decision 3 days before Flores was interviewed for that job. Talk to us about the difficulty in proving discrimination at the workplace and how these text messages could actually help Flores' case.
Well, it is very difficult indeed to prove discrimination in the workplace, but it's doable. And it happens every single day. Text messages are very, very important because a lot of times people send text messages, they send emails not thinking that one day those text messages and emails will end up in litigation, particularly text messages. We find that there are a lot of people who are very honest when they send text messages because they think somehow they can erase them and they will be gone forever. Well, that is never the case. We know this with social media, we know this with text messages. They can always be retrieved and are retrieved. But having said that, it is very difficult to prove discrimination based on race, but it's doable. And text messages, conversations that are recorded depending upon the jurisdiction, unbeknownst to the speaker, and emails that people think would never see the light of day oftentimes help to prove a case of discrimination. Not to mention just the good old-fashioned racial animus, things that people do, actions that they take that are inexplicable in general, and the only explanation that you can come up with is race.
Well, Flores said this isn't the only incident that he's experienced while interviewing within the organization. Listen to him describe a previous interview with the Denver Broncos.
Well, I show up to the interview. I think it was an 8:30 a.m. interview. They're late, which is unusual for this process. And look, I know I'm not alone in this. Where you're the only. I believe I was the only minority interview, and just the entire process doesn't feel like you're an actual candidate, and that's unfortunate.
Well, let me first say that the Broncos deny any of that happened. But look, the Rooney Rule, CK, named after the late former Pittsburgh Steelers owner Dan Rooney, is a policy the NFL adopted requiring every team with a head coaching vacancy to interview at least one or more diverse candidates. Now, the intent behind the policy was to level the playing field, but it's been used, as alleged here, as a means to shield discriminatory practices. Explain why a policy like this can often end up working against their original intent.
Well, I think a policy like this, while at its core was designed to help the problems confronting viable, well-qualified candidates for these positions, can end up hurting if the league or if the teams themselves don't take them seriously. If they just pay lip service to the interview process, interview two candidates when the fix is already in, they've already identified who they're going to hire, and they just want to be able to check the box and say, yep, I interviewed two candidates, and they just didn't make it because we opted to go with someone who was more qualified. That is when it ends up hurting because the teams are not committed, are not being transparent, are not vested, and are not interested in diversifying. And when that's the case, no matter what rules you have in place, there's not going to be diversification. There's not going to be a leveling of the playing field for exceptionally qualified candidates. Let's be very clear. Candidates like Brian are exceptionally qualified. They've had to work 3 times as hard to get where they are. We know that to be the case. But again, if the teams don't buy into equality and fairness and are really not trying to level the playing field and give extraordinarily qualified candidates a shot, then it's not going to work, no matter what you call the rule.
You know, you bring up an interesting point about Brian Flores being exceptionally qualified. And this is my issue, CK, because when things like this come up, when we have talks about the president only considering black candidates, black female candidates for Supreme Court justice, when we're talking about this Rooney Rule, when rules are made in order to ensure that an organization, a process is fair, then you get the naysayers saying, well, why don't we just look at the most qualified individuals, as if these individuals, these black individuals, are not qualified when they actually are. They just can't get through the door. What is the issue? Why do people oppose us holding these positions of power, especially when 99% of the football players are black?
Well, let me attack this on 2 levels. One, when we're looking at the NFL, you're right, 99% or some high percentage of the players are black. So there's no question that when it comes to performing on the field and doing what they have to do, they are doing it. African American football players are performing at top levels. That's always been the case. There's never dispute. And you know, football is $1 billion or $1 trillion industry. But when it comes to integrating the top tiers of management, head coaches, those plum positions, high paying positions, all of a sudden we see one African American here or there, and a lot of them are set up to fail. And why are people so intimidated? It's the same discussion, as you said, with the filling the vacancy for the U.S. Supreme Court. The fact that there are so many, I could probably count, Yodit, 50 off the top of my head, eminently qualified African American women that could sit on the U.S. Supreme Court without even blinking an eye, that are highly qualified, great leaders, great jurists, great writers, could run circles around the existing U.S. Supreme Court members. And yet they have to be subjected to people saying, well, you know, we don't know if they're the most qualified. We don't know if their qualifications stand up when they are eminently qualified. That is the way, unfortunately, that some people look at the system and look at diversification. Never mind the fact that the U.S. Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, for centuries has never had an African American woman. That's a travesty in and of itself. So when we are looking at these types of decisions, whether it's, you know, President Biden saying, I'm going to put an African American woman on the U.S. Supreme Court, my nominee is going to be an African American woman, people just pay lip service to that because they don't want the next U.S. Supreme Court justice to be an African American woman. They want the next U.S. Supreme Court justice to be someone who was already there, either conservative or a white male or a white woman, before any qualified African American woman would even be considered. That's wrong, wrong, and more wrong. Similarly, in the NFL, how in the world can you explain the lack of head coaches who are African American, given that there's so many of them in the pipeline? Let's talk about that pipeline. That pipeline starts with colleges. There are so many incredible African American coaches in the pipeline in colleges that could easily fill the position as a head coach, but they never get the opportunity.
Absolutely.
And so if the NFL
Absolutely.
is not committed, then it's not going to happen.
Well, listen, in the suit, Flores says more than 40 other coaches could join in. And it's being said that former Cleveland Browns head coach Hugh Jackson plans to talk with Flores' attorneys about having proof that the Browns incentivized tanking games. It only takes one, CK, to come forward for others to have the courage to do the same. Talk about the significance of that. If more accusations start to pile on, how that could be problematic for the NFL's defense, and should players get involved in supporting Flores?
Well, I think it could be extremely problematic if others join in. Why? Because we know that this type of discrimination happens. It happens every single day. It happens in the NFL every single day. We know this. The people who are applying for head coach positions know this. Those who are in the system know it. And either they turn a blind eye or there's nothing they feel they can do about it. But if there are people that step up with the evidence who have experienced this, it will be incredibly impactful. And I do believe that the players should stand up. Of course they should stand up. You see, there's power with those people who are playing this sport, who are delivering day in and day out on the field. in a rigorous sport such as football, they have the power to bring about change and make a difference. So yes, the players could make a difference. They should stand up. They should protest about this in the way that they feel is most appropriate and say, look, it's time. Enough is enough. We want to see more African-American head coaches. And by the way, it would enhance the entire perspective of the team when they can see themselves in head coaches. That is so important. Diversifying is something, there's studies that show that people are happier, perform better when there's greater diversity. So why not now? We've seen it in every industry. The NFL needs to get with the program, and I think the players need to support the diversification of the head coach position, without a question.
Attorney CK Hoffler, it is always a pleasure to have you on and for your perspective. Thank you.